guys, it's Kate. Welcome back to my channel. I am so sorry I haven't been on here recently. I was meant to get an operation at the end of term 1 here in Melbourne, Australia, but due to the COVID-19 situation, my operation was postponed. Thus, all the ideas I had for that time were thrown into whack, and I had to figure out what's going to happen and everything. But I'm back, I'm okay, I'm safe, I'm staying at home to minimize the risk of me getting sick and getting this horrid virus, which I hope all of you guys are doing as well, and I hope you're all looking after each other and yourselves and your families. But today is the day I will be explaining to you guys about radiation therapy, what it is, the side effects, and how it actually works with cancers. Also, I am reading all this information that I have gathered about radiation therapy on my computer, so if I'm looking at something and my eyes aren't directly at the camera, it's probably because I'm reading something off, and that is purely because I have the worst memory because of all the cancers and the fact that they removed part of my brain. My memory is really bad, and so I can't remember any of this. Even in high school, when we have to have cue cards, I would write my entire speech on the cue cards and not do dot points like we're meant to because I couldn't remember anything. So if I'm not looking at the camera, please be aware it's because I'm reading. So let's get into it. So what is radiation therapy? So radiation therapy, also known as radiotherapy, is one of the main forms of treating cancers, and it's where it uses beams of intense energy to destroy cancer cells so that they cannot multiply. So in my case, doctors used this after they already did an operation. So they first did the operation to remove my cancer because it could be removed without damages due to it being round and not bleh, going into the brain, like it was just like a small clump. So they were able to remove it, and then after they removed it, after a certain number of weeks where they let the skin heal a little bit, I started my radiation therapy. So how does it really all work? Radiation therapy, like I said before, was given through an external intense beam, and so that's one way you can do it, which is the external one, which is the one I have had done. Or there is also another option, which is inside the body, which is known as, I'm going to try and say this right, if I'm still going to put it up on the screen so you guys can read it. I think it's pronounced brachytherapy, I think, but that one is where they use an internal system, which is actually a radioactive material is put in really thin tubes, which they place in your body near the tumor or the cancer. But then again, I never had the internal version of radiation therapy. I've only ever had external radiation therapy, so I've never really understood the internal one, so I won't really speak about it on this channel, but just be aware there are 2 different types. But I'll be focusing more on the radiation therapy, which is the external radiation therapy, that is, because it's the one I went through and it's the one I understand. So the external beam of radiation actually goes through the machine, and the machine lines it up directly with the cancer site and the surrounding tissue, and they use lines and markings that are on this mask that I have to wear during radiation therapy, and that gives them the most precise targeting system to deal with the radiation therapy. Now, this mask was made out of a plaster and was shaped to fit my face perfectly, so it would fit no one else's face. And they also used foam and foam blocks to create a neck brace at the same time, and this would lock you to the bed. You cannot move. It's very much like an MRI, you have to stay still, and that would basically keep you in place for the time and the amount of time your treatment will be. Before I bring out the mask though, if you have a phobia of holes, I know there's something like that. I put a warning at the beginning of this video, but if you have a phobia for holes, please do not watch this bit. Scroll up and like avoid the screen and come back when I say it's okay. I don't want anyone feeling like ugh, grossed out by it. But I am just gonna go and grab my mask and then I will bring it back to show you all. So when you are being treated for the radiation therapy, you are sitting, well, you're actually lying down, not sitting. You are lying down on a bed, which is very much like an MRI bed, very stern, very hard, not comfortable at all. And you have this thing which is, so say this is the bed, you have this thing which is kind of like a hairdryer and it rotates around you, right? I'll put a picture up so you guys can actually see what it looks like. But whilst you're in these rooms getting your treatment done, which roughly, it's very short amount of time you actually get the treatment done, you have to wear certain gear. For me, I had a shoulder rest, head rest, neck rest type thing on my back of on the back of my head and neck and shoulders, and they would have a mask put over me, and I will go get them and I will show them to you. So I will start with the neck brace thing. Here it is. This is it. It is in a plastic bag, if anyone's wondering. It's not full, like exposed. It is in a little plastic bag. And also the sticky notes are just to cover my personal information, because I don't want that getting out there, especially with like my last name and everything. Like, no thank you. So if you can see, there is a block here and a block here. So the foam neck holder brace, this thing, was formed with 2 blocks of firm foam. Like, it cannot be reshaped in a way. And then they use a large mass of warm heated foam that they are able to push into surrounding areas around the foam blocks and in the shape of my neck. So this would create the overall size for the whole thing. So it would solidify overnight, and then I'd come back the next day and we'd start the treatment. So that's why it's in a bag. It's because when they first did it, they had 2 doctors on either side of me as I was lying down, and they firstly put the 2 blocks back of the neck area. I'm not entirely sure. I'm going through my memory right now. And then they would just push the movable warm foam into position around those 2 blocks to create this. Now the good thing about these is that these do not break easily. And so you're wondering what I mean by that, and it's pretty simple. I still have my neck brace from when I was 7 years old. And this is it here. So this is the one from when I was 7 years old. This is the one from when I was 18 years old. They haven't changed. It looks the exact same as it did when I was younger. Maybe it's a little fragile down the bottom where it's like thin foam, but it's the exact same shape, the exact same color. It's yellowed a little bit over with time, but you can see definitely that it's in a bag, and they have the 2 blocks once again here and here. So it's the exact same process as nowadays. This is where I'm going to go a little and be like, if you have a fear of holes, don't watch this bit. Please come back a little later on in the video. And the reason I am saying that, this is my mask. It is very much filled with holes. It is made out of a plaster. When they first apply it onto your skin, they bring it out of like this, I can't even remember. It was like kind of like a bathtub with a lid, and they lift up the lid and they pull this out of the water, and it was flat, completely flat at the time. And then they bring it over, oh pardon me, I have hiccups all of a sudden. They bring it over to where you are lying on the bed and they stretch it over your face. So it's very, very warm when they apply it. It might be on the hotter side. And they stretch it and stretch it and stretch it until it forms, until it forms the perfect shape of your head. So this is the exact same shape as my head back here. It will break down eventually. I'm about to show you guys my original mask. It is falling to pieces. But once again, I have covered up personal information, but these are the things that would clip to the bed, which makes it impossible to move. It was very, very tight on your skin, but it keeps you in place. And these are the little black markings I spoke of. So these markings line up with the machine which helps in targeting the radiation. This was where my cancer was, this area, so that would be the main source of the targeting system, but this is what it is. This is what it looks like. It's very white and very clean. Do not let that fool you. It does yellow with time, and you're about to see what it can turn into. This is my original mask. It is breaking, very, very much breaking, but it still has the clasps and it is covered in stickers because I was a child who loved Disney and I still love Disney, so I have all these Disney things. It still has the markings, as you can see, but it was actually white like the original mask, except over time it has yellowed. And it is much more fragile. My English is not working today, guys. I am so sorry. It is extremely fragile now. It is falling apart. So keep that in mind. If you want to keep these, look after them because they will fall apart and destroy themselves eventually. Now, during my second cancer, I also was going through another form of treatment known as chemotherapy. This was happening at the exact same time as my radiation therapy, but due to the fact that chemotherapy is such a large part of cancer treating in itself, I will make a whole new video on it to go into more depth about it. Keep that in mind. There is like a whole new section to treating cancers, but I will discuss that in a later video. Also, the treatment and the way you go through radiation therapy really depends on the sort of cancer you have, where it is in the body, how big it is, and your general health as a human being, as well as other cancer treatments you may have already had in the past. So your doctors and the people making you go through radiation therapy will consider all of that before you get sent through radiation therapy. For me, my treatment happened 5 days a week during the working weekdays, so Monday to Friday, and it would always be in the morning. They would always try to have it at the exact same time. But if it was a public holiday, because we have public holidays on weekdays here in Australia, they would move that treatment to the weekend. And so it would roughly be weekday mornings, but sometimes it would be weekends. Overall, both cancers individually got 59.4 grays, which is the type of beam, or which is radiation, I guess, over 33 treatments each. So overall I had 66 treatments, but they were roughly spread over 5 weeks, and they would vary between 10 to 15 minutes of just the treatments, of just you being in the mask, lying on that hard bed. But the longest part would be the waiting. Oh my gosh, sometimes I'd be waiting for 20 minutes, sometimes be waiting for an hour. Like it's crazy. The waiting is the worst part, but the treatment is the fastest part. Also, when going through treatment, I was lucky enough to wear my normal clothes. But if your cancer is, like, say on your leg or in like your stomach area, you will have to get changed into a form of scrubs. I'm not sure why, but I saw other patients were changing into scrubs, especially older people. So I think I was the only one that wasn't getting changed. And I think it's purely because my cancer was on my head and it wouldn't interfere with anything else I was wearing. Some of you might be wondering, does radiation therapy hurt? No. The external radiation therapy does not hurt at all. You won't see or smell the radiation. It's invisible to us. However, you may hear like a buzzing noise when going through treatment, and that's just the machine being a machine. Also, you will not become radioactive. You will not become Hulk. You will not get Spider-Man powers. You will not become a superhero. As much as I wish I could, because it would make this whole thing better. And you just won't get anything like that from the treatment. You will be safe to be around other people, including pregnant women and children. You can be around those people, and you can do that when having your treatment as well as afterwards. But there are some side effects that I will go into just now, but also keep in mind the side effects will vary depending on the part of the body it's being treated on, as well as who you are as a person. So you will experience fatigue, tiredness, you will get very sleepy, you might have dry, itchy or red skin, you may suffer from a loss of appetite, you might be getting nausea and you might be feeling sick, you might have some digestive problems, you might suffer from hair loss, a dry, sore throat or mouth, or you might get like coughs or shortness of breath. But all of those side effects can vary from person to person. Me, myself, I only got tired after a few weeks of the treatment, so it took a while to kick in, but then that continued for like 2 to 3 months after the treatment, and we think it may be due to the fact that I was having chemotherapy at the same time, but we really don't know about that. For me, I also had a slight hair loss situation going on in that area that they were treating, which I am not happy about, but it does grow back over time, for me at least, but that may vary from person to person, so please keep that in mind. These are just the symptoms I suffered from. Most side effects will gradually go away and can be manageable, and they will disappear completely once your treatment has finished, but in time most side effects do go away. However, some may be permanent, others may not appear until after the treatment is finished, and some might just take a long time to go away. So it really depends on the person, depends on how they deal with the radiation therapy, how their body deals with it, because every human being is different in that aspect. Every human being deals with things differently, and so don't be alarmed if you're suffering from side effects that might be a little concerning. Like they might go on for longer than normal. If you do feel like something's wrong with the side effects, go talk to your doctor straight away. Do not leave it. Like, it's best to get confirmation that everything is all right until, like, instead of leaving it to chance, in my opinion. So overall, that is my radiation therapy experience. I hope you guys have been able to learn something about this whole experience, and how important it is. It doesn't last very long, like I said, 5 weeks, so it's not a huge time-consuming part of the cancer experience, but it is a very important part. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope it was informative. If anyone has any questions, if anyone has any questions, any comments, anything they want to ask about, please put it down below in the comment section, and I will try to help explain it a little bit more. I'm trying my best to make these videos as short as possible, but it's a little difficult when you're trying to go into so much detail about what actually is happening. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please be nice to one another. Please look after one another. Look after yourselves. Don't go outside, please, I beg you, because people like me who are currently compromised depend on you doing the right thing. And I'll see you all in the next video. Bye.